What is happening, everyone? Welcome to Gameplay, the esports show that keeps you in the know of all things esports. I'm your show host, Collins Manyame, aka Scar in the esports streets, and today we have yet another special guest lined up. But before we get into that, we have an amazing announcement for a recent event that dropped from the ACGL team, and alongside that, we do have our esports catch-up. Let's get into it. Moving right into our ASL catch-up for this week. This week, we witnessed 3 days of intense high school action, where we saw action from Fortnite, Valorant, as well as League of Legends. Here are some of the results that we witnessed within this past week. In Fortnite, in our top 3, we saw the schools of Edgemead, Thomas More, as well as Redham sit at the top of our Fortnite leaderboard. And on the side of Rocket League, looking at the Rocket League, we had Usmut versus Roos, which produced a total of 30 goals in that encounter. And on that side, Usmut walked away with an 18-12 finish. Alongside that, we had Point versus Edgemead produced 21 goals in total in their game, where Point won only by 2 points. 12-9 in that series. Thus far, the school's performance in ASL has been growing exponentially, and these teams are getting better and better by the week, and the competition is only rising. But moving on to that, now let's take a look at our highlighted fixtures for this upcoming week. These are some of the fixtures you can be looking forward to in our Premier Division for the Rocket League series. In Group A, we have Pinelands High School versus Hoërskool Osmoed versus Grey College and Westford High School. Those are 2 of the games in Group A that you want to keep an eye out for. And also, if those are your schools, we are keeping an eye on you guys. So, hey, better put on a show for us, guys. And on the second side, we have the Group B, which is going to be Roos Gymnasium versus Point High School. And on that other side, we also have Thomas More College and Hermanus High School, who will be taking on each other in their game. And that's going to be our Group B fixtures. So if these are your schools, or you know these schools and they might be in your area, better take a look and keep a keen eye on the Twitch side of things, because these games will be broadcasted in the week to come. So don't miss out on any of that action. This past week, we had the opportunity to catch up with one of the teachers from Roos Gymnasium, JH. JH been involved in the school esports scene from its beginning, and he just shared his journey with the PRG team, alongside that sharing their success and also how to successfully run esports in high school. Let's take a look.
Welcome to Roos.
That's quite tough. PRG ranks, I think that we rank quite highly, but as esports will start growing and esports in schools are getting a lot better, I believe there's a few schools that can claim #1 spot at this stage. And there's a lot more schools. We used to be only 20 schools. Last time I checked, we were over 100 and something schools playing. If we stick to the traditional rivals, Grey PE will always be. But the esports program took a small dip, but they're busy building it back up. Behind us is the PRG Junior Rocket League Academy. That's on Mondays and Tuesdays. A few kids come from the few primary schools in the area because they don't have esports really. So we've started with an academy for them so they can start getting used to playing games and playing it as competitive esports. ASL, we've been really doing good. Rocket League team at this stage has been unbeaten. A team, B team did really well. Our League of Legends team did really well. I think they lost only 1 match. Overwatch team is all doing okay. We're still new in Overwatch. We still struggle a bit with it. The rest of the teams are all getting there, and we slowly but surely will be there. This year, actually, quite strangely, is time. We've overcome most obstacles, getting the gear, getting the players, getting the schools buy-in. At this stage, it's just time. There's so many kids who wants to play. Most of the days, we are here till around 5, 6 in the day. So just getting everybody opportunity to play at this stage is the most challenging part. In the beginning of the year, to get parents on the same page as me, we've got a little esports kickoff program. We invite all the parents, we speak to them about how the year's planning, all the tours we're hoping to have, all the events we play in, all the leagues we play. And then we also have an open discussion about how long do we expect our kids to play. We don't expect kids to sweat 5-6 hours a day. They're taking chances if they do. So try and get an understanding between us and the parent, and trying to tell them we are a sport. We train an hour or two a week. We play an hour or two a week. So we try and get all of them together.
Quite empowering and inspiring coming from JH, who's someone that's been involved in the space for some time now. But moving on to our esports catch-up, let's talk about the massive announcement that I've been holding back, AGC. AGC got announced recently, which is the ACGL Gaming Championship. And what does that entail? Well, listen here. That is going to be a competition that boasts a prize pool of 100,000 Rand across 3 different competitions, that being university esports, high school esports, as well as public esports across 3 different titles, that being EAFC 24, Fortnite, as well as Rocket League. And if you feel like you have what it takes to be a champion in any of these titles, get yourself onto the ACGL website, get signed up, as it is available to everyone to sign up. It's going to be across 2 divisions, under 18 as well as open. So you have that opportunity. There's no excuses. Head onto that website now, get yourself signed up, and you can start competing today. It's going to be an online qualifier leading into a LAN, and where exactly? LAN's going to be in the mother city itself, Cape Town, at UCT Sports Hall. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Moving on to more esports news, DreamHack Summer 2024 is around the corner. And if you don't know what DreamHack is, DreamHack, one of the more prominent and more well-known esports events that are held annually. The BYOC LAN, the competing, known for so much. And why exactly am I talking about DreamHack? DreamHack, an international event? Well, here's why. We had the amazing news locally where we saw 2 FIFA Pro players by the name of Kalen and Asim share their news that they will be flying to Sweden soon enough to be competing in that qualifier at DreamHack Summer 2024. And what does that entail? Well, if they can qualify, they will qualify for the eSports World Cup, which will be held in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. So when that time comes, best believe we better all be supporting our boys and back them all the way. Because what exactly are they competing for even in the qualifier? Well, they're competing where a prize pool of $100,000 is on the line. And how much is that? Yeah, 1.8 million Rand. So we definitely have to be backing the boys in this one. Now it's time for gaming opportunities in your area. As mentioned before, AGC just got announced, and if you want your spot and you want to compete in said event, head over to the acgl.gg website, get yourself involved, get your spot, and get competing. Aside from that, if you just want to get involved in school esports, university esports, or public esports, they have just what you need. So head over to that website and you'll find everything that you need. And in addition to that, if you just want to catch up with any esports action or catch any upcoming broadcasts, head over to youtube.com/supersportschools. On the side of Twitch, check out twitch.tv/African esports or twitch.tv/ACGL Alpha. Whew. Okay, cool. There's been an information overload, but let's take a breather, take a break, go AFK for a bit, but don't take too long, because I want you to be a part of the next upcoming conversation with Andreas as well as Tristan from Bravado Gaming, which is going to be quite an interesting chat. So we'll see you in just a bit. Welcome back, everyone. You are tuned into Gameplay. And before my break, I did say that we are going to be having an interview with some very special guests, and now is that time. Introducing representatives from the premier esports gaming organization, Bravado Gaming. They have been involved in the scene for almost 18 years, leading the growth of South African esports and being at the forefront of it. They are champions across multiple titles, including Call of Duty, CSGO, as well as Fortnite. Introducing General Manager Tristan Renz and co-founder as well as owner, Andreas Haji Pascali. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
I love that Andreas Haji Pascali. Not a lot of people get it right. But,
I'm so happy. You know, I actually was practicing a bit, so I just made sure I was ready for the show.
thanks a lot for having us.
Yeah, it's
Colin.
good to be here, man.
It's
It's
awesome.
an absolute honor having you guys on the show. And I touched on it a bit, 18 years within the space, right? What even got you involved? What even got you in the space at a time where practically no brands were involved? No one thought this was viable. What made you think it was viable?
Trip down memory lane. Wow, man. When I started high school, I started playing computer games. It started with StarCraft, but around Standard 8, I think they call that grade 10 today. There we go, they call that grade 10. I started dabbling with Counter-Strike and met some locals from my school. I was in Benoni High, and that really ignited me to become this Counter-Strike professional. I started looking at international events, seeing what was happening in South Africa, started gaming at the gaming cafe close by to me. And I wanted it. I wanted to be in the top 18 in South Africa. And I think it was when I was 18, I won my first events. It was a Rage Expo or the World Cyber Games, 2005.
Yeah, that was.
And I couldn't go to
was the
Singapore
trophy.
because I was writing matric exams. That's where it started from. And, after I won those events, I wanted to start something with my brother because he was competing at the time as well. And in 2006, January, we put Bravado Gaming together. And, it started off as a team. You say that there wasn't, yes, it's not like eSports today, but eSports was starting to become very noticeable.
Yeah.
Back then people were like, you're a nerd, you're playing. Today, I don't know who doesn't play.
Yeah.
So, we wanted to be a gaming organization with a call to action. A lot of teams were just getting put together for just competing. To us, it was about competing and also building a story simultaneously.
Having a purpose.
Exactly. And throughout all those years, I can go into so much detail, it'll take me like hours and hours to talk about it, but we've gone through different highs, different lows, different projects, different teams, competed locally, internationally, over 400 or 500 events. And, we, until this day, we're still building and still conceptualizing and growing that purpose of bringing the bravado.
Yeah, and you even touched on it there, is what kept you going is you guys had a call to action, you had a purpose. And a lot of teams, I think that's the biggest problem, especially when they want to get into the space, is they don't really have a clear-cut idea of where they want to see themselves. They don't have a real plan. It's just get that team together and move forward. But with you guys, there was an actual mindset of where you wanted to be. And I think you can even attest to that. That's pretty much what's driven you this long.
Absolutely. I think if you're going to start looking at putting a team together for the short-term perspective, it's not going to work out. You need a long-term vision. So you need to understand where the brand needs to get to. Not just the teams, not just the achievements, but as a brand as a whole. How are you going to build content? How are you going to create inspiration? How are you going to create, a variety of call to actions and activations in order to attract sponsors, partners, revenue? So having a larger purpose definitely comes into play when you're looking at all those things, from content to partners to revenue, and the list goes on and on.
Right, that's beautiful. And it's so respectable with what your journey has been and how far you've come, right? With having all of that determination, having that mindset, having that vision to get to this point with Bravado Gaming. But what I want to know is, were there challenges? There definitely were challenges, but were there times where you felt like throwing in the towel, giving up? Because 18 years is not easy to keep a brand alive.
When I say you need a lot of perseverance, I'm not over-exaggerating. You need a lot of perseverance. And I'll tell you why, Collins. This is an industry that is very volatile, all right?
Yeah.
You do one thing today, something else changes tomorrow, and you have no choice but to change it. The meta is so aggressive when it changes that it completely stirs the pot. The roller coaster ride is rough. The tears have been insane. Throwing in the towel is an understatement. But at the end of the day, and I'm sure Tristan can tell you more about that, and he deals with more of the day-to-day things.
Definitely. But I think what's interesting, and it goes kind of back to actually your first answer, is the perseverance comes from that initial passion that I think Bravado was started with. I think it's a cautious reminder that we always have to keep in our heads is, why did we start doing this and why are we still going? It's the same question that you asked us. And I think it all stems off of that initial passion and that initial drive. It's almost like, I think for us too, it's like there's no way we can let go now. You know, we've come this far.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is if I get into esports because it's the third biggest industry in the world, overtaking Hollywood, I'm going to become a billionaire. I'm telling each and every person right now, if you are trying to get into esports to make money, you're not at the right place. Because you need to fight those roller coaster rides. Yes, there's a lot of revenue to be generated, but there's a lot of money spent in the industry as well, and you need to spend in order to continue like keeping up with those trends. So it has to become part of you, it has to become a passion, and I think being able to make a lot of money from it, yes, you can, and as an esports athlete or a management individual or as the brand, but it has to come secondary to everything else.
100%.
And I think that's the thing, right? Is a lot of people have that notion or idea that esports, this is this, this is that. There was even an article that was released where it's like, oh, these players are earning this amount of money just
without a
playing
doubt,
games.
I mean,
but there's just no context. You know, they don't understand the work that goes into it, especially as an owner.
Let's put it like this, Collins, to make it easier to understand. It's kind of like if you play 20 tournaments and you cash really hard in one, that's a win. But the question is, can you persevere to go through those 20 tournaments? You know, it's like a golf tournament or whatever it is. You know, you're never always going to win. And those individuals who are winning events like the ESLs, you know, or the Dota Internationals, like it's very rarely that you'll see a lot of people winning the same event. So you need to be able to go years playing like 10, 15 events. I might be exaggerating there.
Probably not though.
Yeah, probably not that long, but you need to fight through all the losses in order to get that win. And it's going to be a big win. It's going to cost you a lot to get there. 100%. You'll get a lot in reward, but you need to persevere to get to that point.
Exactly. It's not all as easy as just a leaderboard with this is how much money these people have earned. There's a lot more behind that.
And it goes back to your points, right? Is that passion and perseverance.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much work behind the scenes that needs to go in before you cash out there. Because before Bravado Gaming is what it is now, you had to put in hours, work, tears, sweat, blood, everything.
As a player and as a brand, I mean, as a player, you really need to fight. We had the guys Project Destiny. I can talk about that a little bit later on where, you know, at the point they wanted to pull the plug. And I was like, no, because I went through it. As a brand, same thing. What sponsor's going to come on board? Are you going to retain a sponsor? How are you going to be able to pay people every month? How are you going to build content? How are you going to retain viewership? How are you going to attract all your audiences? It's not easy. You need that perseverance. There are so many ins and outs and so many blankets in esports that you need to be intact with everything that's going on at that present moment.
100%. Indeed, yeah. And you already touched on it, so that's perfect segue into my next question. Project Destiny 1. Take me through the feeling. How was it? The first experience of, was this the big break? And take us through also some of the challenges you guys experienced going through all of that.
I mean, you know, Demi and I eventually saw this opportunity of, we've got this Counter-Strike team, they're winning events after events in South Africa, we're doing okay overseas, but we were like, no, we need to go there. We need to stay in that environment, play against the people there for a whole year and try to do something great. As an African team, you know, let's go show them what we have. Together with Alienware, Intel, and Dell Technologies, we got the funding, waited for JT, who's now the captain of Complexity, to finish matric. And Demi was also actually part of the team. He was in-game leading at the point before he gave it over to Ruan and JT. And off we went to the USA, 6 months in 6 months in Phoenix and 6 months in Austin. And wow, you know, being able to plan something for 2 or 3 years and finally getting there and knowing that this is it was a feeling of achievement on its own.
Definitely.
But what you do there was another...
I think it goes back to actually what you were speaking about now, where yes, I think towards the end of the project there was a lot of success and there was a massive story behind it, but what a lot of people didn't see was the 6 months, 7 months of losses and tears and so much effort that had to go in and just into getting to this point where the guys were finally being competitive in that region. That was a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort put in just to get to that point.
It was like June and July. I got a phone call from TC, who's now the coach of Complexity, and Demi, Detriny, and they're like, Andreas, it's been 6 months. I don't know if it's working. We just can't break through the barrier, you know? At that point in time, just for the people who understand Counter-Strike, the guys didn't even want to scrim Furia because they were so bad. Let's put it that way, okay? True story. And the guys still weren't doing well. And they were like, I think we should come back. And I was like, no, we're going to push through. We're going to push through.
Yep.
And that's when we had our big breaks, going into the DreamHacks, beating some of the best teams in the world to get to, DreamHack Winter.
Exactly.
Beating Optic in the top 8, beating G2, seeing Detrony out Orp Kenny S was like, wow, I think that was the big break. And I mean, I'm sure you're going to touch on it about Project Destiny too. But I'll leave it to you to bring that up. That's where I want Tristan to really tell us what he feels about putting a project like this together.
Yeah, and before we even get to that,
Yes.
now is a top play moment that where we like to just showcase a little clip. And this clip is a clip where you guys take down G2 at DreamHack Open Winter 2018 to make it into the playoffs. Let's have a watch.
What a moment.
Bravado 2-0 Group B and move straight into playoffs.
Wow, it was close wins for both teams. They both did it on Dust 2 with the 16-14s, and you wondered what would happen in this match. You thought, okay, just the pedigree of G2 would mean that was enough to take it over the line, but Nuke maybe was the pick that saved the day for Bravado. Looked excellent on the T side, even though they only got 6 rounds. We talked about how they could still be happy about that and not frustrated, and they moved on to CT side, and we saw the hot individual plays that G2 showed them to come back into the first half to allow them to actually win the game.
Yeah, and this is huge. I mean, Bravado, a team that so many people would rightfully write off.
So, gentlemen, what a clip, right? I mean,
Memories.
it has to be something that's just such a sweet feeling to just look back at it and be like, we actually did that. You guys, G2, one of the most prominent esports organizations in the world, and you guys have beaten them. What was the feeling in that moment?
Surreal. Full of tears. I mean, these are the teams I wanted to beat when I was much younger, even though I wasn't playing this game. And I would cry because I wanted it so bad. And seeing the team take down G2, you know what? Part of the objective of Project Destiny was achieved right there and then. It was,
The box was ticked.
words cannot describe. Surreal.
Such a beautiful moment, and one that will definitely live in your memory,
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
I know, we've got,
But on to my final question. So, what's next for Bravado Gaming? Obviously, Project Destiny 2.0, right? And Tristan, I believe you can take me through that. What does that entail for Bravado Gaming?
Look, and I've actually said this at our press conference that we hosted, the sort of farewell party for our team is, obviously for someone like me who was a player for Bravado Gaming, that's how I started out. Being at kind of the spearhead of a project like this is, just like the word that he used, it's surreal. I think there was a lot of hope that came from that Project Destiny 1. That was the biggest outcome for me, was the hope that it gave gamers all across South Africa. And I think there was an entire generation of gamers that were bred just from that project alone.
I mean,
And
I used to get messages from people from other African countries being like, we're watching you guys.
There
It's
you
like-
go. The hope that it gives.
Yeah.
And I think
The
that was
unity it builds.
Exactly. And that was a big thing for us in bringing the second project together, was being able to give that out again and being able to give that opportunity, not just for the players, giving them this once in a lifetime opportunity to go and make it overseas. It wasn't even just about them. It's the entire community, and for us as a whole is bringing this bravado and the feeling and the passion and the purpose that we started this with is bringing it into this project again. I think in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a lot of growth as a brand with our expansion into the Middle East with our partners. That's been a big project for us, and now being able to knuckle down and really set this project in stone. No promises, but what we're really hoping is to break the barriers that we did before with the first project.
Yeah, I think like what we're trying to push is bigger and bolder, right?
Yeah.
So we're not going to the USA this time. We're going to Europe. And the competition is going to be much more tough.
Yeah. I mean, everyone understands. If you're prominent in esports, you understand EU is where it's at. That's where a lot of competition is. A lot of the best teams reside within there. So it definitely is something that is obviously going to be difficult. But again, you guys are front runners. You're at the forefront of the growth of South African esports. You're setting the standard. You guys, you've made it to Middle East. You have your deal there. Now you're making it into EU, and this is what everyone is obviously chasing after. And you guys are doing that.
And I don't even think it's about a skill thing. okay? Because everyone's got the skill. It's a mental thing.
Definitely.
And I think as South Africans, I mean, look at our rugby team. You know, look at Drickus and the EFC.
Yeah, I think it's a spirit that we have as South Africans.
Yeah, I mean, a spirit and a desire to go and get it. And that's what we're trying to teach the boys, is bringing that bravado. And we want them to go over there and show the world that us as South Africans, as an African organization as well, we can push beyond limits and we can compete with the rest of the world, like we've proven time and time over again with other sporting divisions of South Africa.
And it's only the start now, and eSports is at that front. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been our time for today. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. It's been
Thanks for having us, Colin.
It's been amazing here, man.
It's been an absolute honor. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of Gameplay. Thank you so much for joining us. That has been the episode. Catch us next week, where I have an interview with one of the most decorated eSports hosts, that being Sam Tech Girl Wright. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. GG's, homies.